Hey, peace, love and light to you all, family. Welcome to another YouTube video with me, your host, Mathics Mahlangu. I hope that you are good. I hope that you have been well. It's a very rough time that we are in as a species, but it's also a very important time, in our consciousness evolution cycle. It's a very, very important time. So in today's video, I'm going to be decoding the movie Lucy. This is another decoding episode. We're going to be looking at the movie Lucy. It's not going to be long because this movie is basically, it's straight to the point. It's straight to the point, and what it's talking about is just the fact that, hey, there's levels to you that you can access. You need to be careful when you watch these movies because they can either teach you or they can indoctrinate you if you are watching them without observing them. So you have to understand. Watch these movies just like when you read the Bible or you read the Quran or you read any other holy book. You can't just know that. You learn all systems of information. That way you can cross-reference things. Do the same when it comes to movies as well. So now, without wasting any time, we're going to get straight into the movie. But before that, don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel so that you can get more videos, especially if you click that notification button. So you won't have to wait for me to tell you that I've uploaded a video. It's going to let you know automatically. So now, jumping straight to the movie of Lucy. So I've only made points of important scenes or scenes that I think that are important. You can decode it in your own way as well. So the first scene that I noted here is cell division. You see the cells, you see the one becoming the two, becoming the many. And supposedly that's how the Most High, that's how the source, what we call God, decided to experience itself. The one becomes the many, which is the Trinity. It's mom and dad creating the child. That's the Trinity. So it's the splitting, it's the continuation of information on a atomic level, on a cosmic celestial level, just as you are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So here they are showing you cell division, which is universal division. This is how you came into being. So the movie starts off again. They show us an ape that they call Lucy. And it said that they found or they discovered bones of an ape, and they named that ape Lucy. It was discovered in Ethiopia. So now it starts off with her saying that life was given to us 1 billion years ago. What have we done with it? And then you see them showing all those particular things that we have done, which are not so advanced. Because if you look at the modern things that we have done, they're actually backwards compared to what the ancients have, or what the ancients were dealing with. They were dealing with a very high level of technology, which is what they are showing in this movie. Because people always forget that the body within itself is technology. Technology is not just the outside things that you see, virtual reality, cell phones, planes flying in the sky. This technology of this century is actually, it's nothing compared to the technology of the ancient melanated ones. So they show Lucy, she's outside with Richard, and that Richard guy says to Lucy, says, do you know the first ever woman was called Lucy, as I was saying there in the beginning. So then the next scene that I want you to take note of is now Morgan Freeman is talking about how humans are using 10% of their brain. This goes back now to the levels that we are not tapped into yet, because it is said that we use 10% of our brains and the 90% is the subconscious, or it is the part that is inactive, that we have no access to. Just in the same way that we have 2 strands of DNA, and the other strands, they call them junk DNA, which is what the science calls them. But the ancients knew, no, this is not junk. This DNA deals with spiritual, paranormal, supernatural, and supernatural activities. So it's not dormant. It's just that people are not focusing their energies onto that. So this movie is about accessing the dormant parts of your brain. So Morgan speaks about how the rest of the brain is inactive. All right. And then they jump to talking about dolphins. They talk about dolphins. Dolphins, when you sit there, what a fancy. They talk about dolphins and how they are the only species or the only animal that can use a higher portion of their brain, or they have a higher access. They said that they have 20% access into their brains. Now, dolphins and the whole family of dolphins It's a species called cetaceans. Look up cetaceans. This is where you find your killer whales, or what they call them, orcas, your blue whales, all of that. They fall into the group called cetaceans. When you look at different species, let's say sharks, for example, when you see sharks, when they swim, and fishes, the tail goes like this, it goes backwards. But when the cetaceans, the tail flaps like this, it flaps backwards. And these particular creatures, said to be warm-blooded, have a very, very, very high level of intelligence. And it's not the intelligence that we think is intelligence. It's just like how Morgan is talking about here when he talks about the ability to use echolocation, how to determine sounds, frequencies. So we are dealing with a very high level of species, or very high intelligent animals when you are talking about dolphins. And dolphins are very closely connected to humans in the spiritual. There's mythology, there's myth being told about dolphins. It's said that dolphins, Babu Credo Mutwa also speaks about this. It is said that dolphins were said to be humans that shapeshifted into that particular species. And they said that they would communicate with humans in dreams telepathically to remind us of who we were, because there was a fall that happened. So they shape shifted and then went into the ocean. So dolphins are very, very, very intelligent. In fact, they're like human, bro. Like dolphins are literally, they are like humans of the oceans, very intelligent beings. And the reason why dolphins are much more intelligent than us is because they use both sides of their brains, whereas we are mostly focused on the left side of the brain, which is logical. Now, dolphins use two sides of their brain, and they're so beautiful. When a dolphin sleeps, it shuts down one brain, and then it floats down to the so it sleeps with one eye open, and then it kind of floats down. It's so majestical, it floats down. It's like it's sinking, and then it comes up again for breath. So when a dolphin is sleeping, it is in the level that most people are in when they're walking around every day, you know, stressing about they gotta go to work, what am I gonna eat next? They are tapped into that level that you are in every day when they are sleeping. So dolphins are on another level. So when they're awake, they're functioning on both hemispheres of the brain. And when they sleep, they shut down one. So that's why dolphins are so amazing. I think dolphins also are my spirit animal, or one of my spirit animals, because I dream about them a lot. So Morgan says that whole thing about dolphins. And then let me see what I wrote next here. And then Morgan says something interesting. He says, can we say that humans are more concerned with having than being? That's true. Listen, they call you what? A human being. But now you have been hypnotized into becoming a human doer. So all your attention is focused on being, on doing and having. I gotta have more stuff. I gotta have 3 cars. I gotta have this big house. I gotta have this. I gotta have. Whereas when you look at the ancient people, they had less. It is said that full mind, empty room. Full room, empty mind. Because we have been hypnotized into this thing where we think that more is better, and that's not how it is. More is not necessarily better. It is basically what they just say. It's more stuff. You just have more things in your room. It doesn't mean that you're better. So that's why you see us always wanting to accumulate more things, because we subconsciously want to make up for the emptiness of knowledge or the emptiness of our spirit that we have in here. So we think if we have more outside here, it's going to fulfill us, but that's not the case. That's why when you see ancient Africans, bro, all they needed was just their little hut and nothing else. They had everything in here. They had what they call detail files. As brother Bobby Hemming speaks about it, they had detail files, which means that they could tap into knowledge just like that. They could tap into astral projection. They had their Akashic record was open. It was open. They could astral travel. They could move. They didn't need a lot of these. They didn't even need this external technology, because they were the technology. So now we're going to move on here. And then the next scene. Yeah, this is still Lucy. Oh, the next scene they're showing, they capture Lucy, and then they're in that particular thing where this guy pops up, and they've implanted the drugs in them, and then that guy says that the kids in Europe are gonna enjoy this. You know, that's another thing that shows you that there are people who put certain drugs into communities, beforehand, they know, just like how heroin and, let me just say, drugs, how drugs are introduced into communities, especially black communities, in order to dumb down. It is something that is done deliberately. Heroin, cocaine, people cook those in labs. I mean, do you think that there's some Nigerian guy or some Zimbabwean guy or some black dude with a huge ass factory producing these things? No, these are produced in labs, and then they are sold and they are given strategically. And then they are pushed into the communities so that they can lower down the intelligence of the people there. Just like gun manufacturer, who manufactures guns, huh? But then who puts them in those communities? So drugs and all of these things, they're manufactured in order to keep people at a lower level of consciousness. So now let's go on. They go into Morgan Freeman. So now Morgan Freeman starts talking about time and how time is basically how we pass down information. And that's what our ancients have been doing. That's what we are still doing. We are a continuation of memory. When someone passes on, that person comes to live inside of you in the form of DNA, which is information. So you are a projection of memory 7 generations back. 7 generations on your father's side, 7 generations on your mother's side. That's the closest one that you can find a link. After 7 generations, how you look, it starts getting different. You know, it starts fading away. So if you were to see your ancestors that lived, let's say, 21 generations, or let's say 100 generations ago, you wouldn't even recognize them. And can you imagine those who were like 1,000 generations ago? You wouldn't even begin to, like, you would be like, whoa, that's my aunt. Wow, it would shock you. But that information is still in there because nothing is ever really lost. Stored in your medulla, stored in your Akashic records. And they say that in the last days, no stone will be left unturned. So this is what they're showing you in this movie. It's the unlocking of this genetic intelligence that is within the dormant DNAs. So now, basically what they're showing you here is that the fact that Lucy's going through a Kundalini trip. This hun is tripping. Literally, she's tripping. When you see them, when you see her in that jail and she's going, and you see the levels of her intelligence increasing, and she's moving on the walls. That's not necessarily, let's say, physical, but those particular things happen on an astral, on an ethereal level. Those things are factual. It's not fiction. They are factual. I'll make a video probably in the distant future about when I had my Kundalini experience. It is factual. It is real. It is real. It is something that it is almost even tangible, because your body even begins to change once your brain begins to change. Obviously in movies they just make it a little bit, you know, extra, but they say that truth is stranger than fiction, and that's a fact. This hand is going through a Kundalini trip. They go back to Morgan. Morgan Freeman says that the Greeks, Egyptians knew about cells, and these all these were melanated people. The people who discovered civilization, they won't let you know in school. They're gonna let you know about Charles Darwin. They're gonna let you know about Albert Einstein. They're gonna let you know about all of these people, Pythagoras, but they're not gonna let you know about who taught these people. Who were these people's teachers? These people learned in great schools. Some books were stolen, some were taught. They learned at the feet of the masters. The black people, they learned at the feet of the masters in the schools of Timbuktu, in the schools of Kemet. You know, the Moors, they built over some 60-something, 30-something libraries when they were civilizing Europe, you know, in the 1400s for 700 years. So they taught them this information of science and all this high information on alchemy, even occult knowledge. Some were initiated into the upper echelons of higher spiritual knowledge of how to alchemize the body and tap into different dimensions. So when you see them putting them in these movies, it's not something that is new that they just coming up with. No, your people knew about this. Your people knew about this, and they know about it. They know who their ancestors are. They know that you are their ancestors. It's just that they're not going to tell you. But some straight up come forth and say that, yo, black people are the oldest people. And in fact, civilization comes from them. Them being here, them having been here for such a long time, is also evident or proven by the variety of genes that they have. You know, black people, is said that they have when it comes to the phenotype, the genotype, the variation, they're so diverse. The diversity is so huge. It shows that the gene pool has had a very long time in order to mutate over thousands, if not millions, billions of years. So what do you think these people were doing for all that time on the planet? And then you're going to think that a very young race all of a sudden is the highest civilization that has ever lived? Nah, man, come on. There's been higher civilizations that lived on this planet. We're going to talk about that another time. There's civilizations, Atlantis, Lemuria, all these things that they say, it's sunken, Pangea. I mean, the world was once one landmass with one people. What do you think those people were doing? You think they were just chilling? Let's continue on here. So he says that these people knew about these things before they had microscopes, because they didn't need this external technology. They could look at you and be able to dissect you. They didn't even need to cut you like this. They could tell what's wrong with you. So they knew about cells. They knew about stars. They did not need external technology. Let's continue on here. Morgan also says that 100 billion neurons per person and only 15% are connected. So he also says that there are more neurons than stars in the galaxy. Ooh, think about that. There are more neurons in your brain than there are stars in the galaxy, but you're not even using half of them. Not even half. Not even a quarter of them. So now we're going to continue on here. So now they're showing Lucy. She's having that whole trip. And another thing here is that I guess they're trying to portray the fact that she's detaching from her human nature. But one thing I don't understand about the movie, all of a sudden I'm like, bro, where's your compassion, you know? But I guess I don't understand, because the more you grow in spirituality, the more compassion you begin to have. All of a sudden, this lady is a killer, is just shooting people unnecessarily. I don't know if it's maybe because she knows that we don't die, but that part I was like, come on, man, you know? But I guess it's just the mindset. I'm like, why are you a killer? But then they're showing her having ESP, you know, when she's in that taxi. What they're showing you there with all those frequencies, that's extrasensory perception. So now she's able to perceive things just beyond the two eyes. And you can do that too. You just don't know, because, you know, you think that you need Siri and all. How do you think birds navigate, Maji? How do you think they know where to go, how to migrate? How do you think animals know to move when there's a natural disaster coming? So when animals can do that, can you imagine what you can do as a child of God? Jeez, man. If dolphins can do that, what can you do? If chameleons can change color, what can you do? It's just that you don't know this. You don't know this. That other DNA, that's dormant. So now let's continue on here. So she goes into the hospital. She calls her mother and she says that she's basically having a memory recall. That's what begins to happen when the Kundalini rises up your spine to open up your chakras, which opens up all the dormant DNA. When you begin to have memory recall, you begin to remember who you are. So your genetic memory begins to, it uplifts, and then you remember the things from past lives, from this life, from childhood. You begin to connect the dots. So now the mom is like, what are you talking about? What you're talking about, my child? And that's what happens in society. Most people who've had a Kundalini experience, or who have had some sort of supernatural thing, or people who just talk about things that people are not used to, you know, society will begin to question you. What are you saying? You know, that's how it is. That's how it is. They are not able to perceive that which you are seeing. They are only still locked into the two eyes and the two ears, which are the physical. Every sense has a higher aspect to it. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. What are you talking about? And then let me see here. And then after that, now the next scene I want you to notice is where now she's going to that thug dude to get her revenge, or no, to find out information as to where the other things were taken. So when she was on that hospital bed, she talks to that guy. She talks to the doctor, and then the doctor says that this CPH4 is manufactured by pregnant women. So they're just showing you that this is a natural chemical inside of you, because you yourself, when you begin to come into these higher levels, your organs begin to produce certain chemicals and hormones that pertain to the spiritual side, just like how your brain will produce DMT, I mean your pineal gland will produce dimethyltryptamine, which is what allows you to travel in between dimensions. Dimensional tryptamine. You'll be tripping, huh? And your other organs, your thymus will produce T cells. There's many things that your body will begin to produce because now you are tapping into a whole other frequency of who you truly are. So now they have that whole conversation. So now after that, she goes to the boss to ask her, yo, where are the other things, man? You know, and then when she's talking to the guy, she stabs the dude with those knives, and she says that learning is always a painful process, which is true. When you begin to, because when you understand or when you come into spiritual information, the first thing that you have to do is first unlearn all the lies that you've been told, you know, that you are an ape, that you come from monkeys, that you are useless, your ancestors were stupid, they're demons, they didn't know God, you know, they came and civilized you. This is the high. You have to unlearn all those lies about all these white inventors. It's lies, bro. It's lies. All of these things. There's nothing new under the sun. What? You think that people are going to come in the 18th century and tell you things that people who've been living here on the planet for millions of years didn't know? Come on, man. Use your brain. There's nothing new under the sun. We knew these things. She's on take us in slow motion. You know, but then we're going to continue on, man. Yeah, and you need to laugh at yourself as well for being so silly, for thinking that you come from an ape, but you're a child of God. Come on, man. Come on. Let's come on. So now, she says also, it's so funny. I used to be concerned about who I was and what I wanted to be. Now that I have access to the furthest parts of my brain, I see things clearly now. You know, that's it. Like once you tap in, what you think you want to be, I want to be a singer, I want to be this, I want to be a doctor, yay. What do you want to be when you grow up? My dream job is this. That's because you're still accessing these lower portions of your brain and you think that it matches what you want to be in society. You're so concerned, but once you begin to open up, oh my God, what? A whole other, things that you cannot even begin to imagine open up, that you don't even have time to be stressing about what or who you think or your place in society. That's the moral humanistic side of things. You begin to open up information on a whole different level. You saw Lucy there in the beginning. She was like, oh man, I gotta go, I have an exam on Monday. I'm not saying don't study for your test or quit your job, but I'm telling you that when you begin to access these things, oh man, hey, woohoo. Woohoo, it's a whole other story. Bam, bam. Now she's in the plane. That's another scene that I want you to notice there. So basically what is happening in that scene when she's in that bathroom and like all the light is coming out, that's just enlightenment. Just like Neo when he was being taken up there and they're showing all that light, that's enlightenment. That's showing you that now she's beginning to access the inner light. You know, it's taking over. So now we're gonna continue on here. And it happened after she drank alcohol. So don't drink alcohol, kids. I'm kidding. That had nothing to do with it, you know, but she's accessing the different portions of her brain. So now she wakes up in the hospital. They're showing her with the whole ESP thing. She can see through walls, all of that, extrasensory perceptions. And then she goes into the car with the cop and whatnot after doing all those things. And they're showing you there again, ESP, that she's basically accessing the field when she's doing, you know, that whole thing. She's accessing the field. She can tap into people's minds. You can know things without you knowing how you know them, because you are tapped in. Your body is part of nature. It's part of the cosmos, the universe. And once you begin to open it up, you can access information within this particular cosmos, within this earth, within whatever this is. You can access that because you are part of it. It's not that you are something that's separate. You are a human and the universe is something on its own. You are part of it. If you look at the fingerprints of a human and how the hair grows, it's similar to the spiral on a shell. It's similar to the spiral on a galaxy. They call that the Fibonacci spiral. The Fibonacci, the golden mean ratio. So your body is also created according to the ratio, the 5. If you look at flowers, they have the head and then they have those two the petals branch off in two, and then in two there. That's the star. Your body is the same way that a flower is. It's the same way that a star is. So you are created from the same geometry of this thing. It's just that you consciously have been removed from it through indoctrination by making you think that, oh, I'm this thing and the earth and everything else is outside of me. No, it's very much a part of you, just as your own organs are a part of you. That tree outside, it's very much your lungs as your own. It's very much your lungs as your own inner lungs. The river out there that you're polluting, that's very much the same thing as your blood vessels. You are that thing. The body and the universe is an extension of your body. Let's continue on. The earth and the universe is an extension of your body, right? So you can tap into that. So now she's driving really fast, and that guy's like, oh my God. It's better late than to die, or whatever he says. And then she says, we never really die. And that's true. You don't die. Why? Because you are energy. You are consciousness. You are that thing. Energy cannot be what? Come on, you did this in school. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You don't die. You only change form. You only change the body. That's the only thing that changes. Boom, boom. And then now the next thing, she's meeting up with Morgan Freeman again. And now she's introducing everybody, they're like, this is the lady that I was telling you about, and that guy's like, show us an example. And she comes, she's like, your daughter died. I was like, why are you so mean, Lucy? You could have used another example. Your daughter died at the age of 2 years old. She got hit by a car. You know that scene? I was like, this girl, you could have used another example, bro. Why are you so mean? Why are you so mean? I think maybe she opened, I think it's not even a thing. She accessed this thing vicariously. It wasn't through, let's say, natural means, like, because she doesn't have the compassion. If you don't open the heart chakra, you're gonna be destructive with this power and this knowledge, man. That was like so whack. So many things about this movie was lame, but they were dropping jewels, but at the same time, so now she taps into that dude's memory, and then they have the whole conversation about time is the unit of measure. And that's what it is. You exist in time. You're a being that exists, that is beyond time and space. But you have incarnated, or you have placed a portion of your consciousness within time for measurement purposes, for experimental purposes, for experiential purposes, for learning purposes. You can only learn in time. Outside of time, things are different there. It is only in time that you can learn, because things here have what we call a process. You plant a seed, you cover it over, it begins to, it dies, and then it transforms, you pour water over it, it grows. A butterfly, it's first a caterpillar, it goes into a cocoon, then it transforms. Everything is a process. You are first ignorant, and then you come into knowledge of yourself. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? Oh, like Neo. And then the next thing, boom, you're in time. Do you expect? This is the experiment. It's the experience. This is how you get to learn. So time is the unit of measurement. It's what we use in order to be like, to track things, to track information. Cosmic, terrestrial, whatever type of information, time is the unit of measurement. So now let's continue on. They have that whole deep conversation. Watch that scene. That scene is very interesting. It's so cool. You see her changing her cells there, because when your brain changes, you can even begin to tap into your cells. Just like I was telling you that if chameleons and dolphins can do those things, you can, oh my God, you can biolocate, you can dematerialize. The ancients were able to do that, dematerialize, appear somewhere else, just like Goku with that instant transmission, and then he's somewhere else. We could do that. We could do that. We still see glimpses of that in our dreams. It's so far from the physical body right now, like, because it's been thousands of years of us just thinking that this is what we are, that it would be hard to reprogram all that, but it is possible, and you can access that even in dreams. You can come a step closer to this when it comes to things like astral projection and lucid dreaming. You can tap into these things. They're not so fictiony. It's actual things. So now let's continue on here. So that whole thing happens, right? And then that whole thing of memory begins to happen, where now she's traveling through time. She's going back in time, seeing how things were, seeing where things come from. She's tapping into all her chakras. Because what the chakras are, excuse me, the chakras are storage places. They store information, and the body has information stored within it that goes back to the beginning of the universe, some 14 billion years. You are like a trillion terabytes, unmeasurable amount of storage in one human body. In one human body. There's no computer that they can create that can store as much information that is in your body. You have information that has stored your travel through billions of galaxies, dimensions, and realities of being. So she's beginning to access that, and when you tap in, you begin to access your memory, because all of this is about recalling memory. It's about going back, remembering who you were, remembering, taking that which has been scattered and making them a member again. You are unifying them, informing information. So she's collecting data, information. That's what you were seeing when she was doing that supercomputer thing. And when the skin was beginning to turn black, that's that melanin. That's that melanin. That's that darkness. They had to show you somehow. You see her skin beginning to, because that's the cosmic, that's the triple darkness. That's how you access that. Your melanin, or it's not necessarily just external melanin, the inner neural melanin. That is the cosmic Akashic records. The melanin is the field. The melanin is the intelligence. It is what creates. It is what forms. It is what takes that which is invisible and brings it into the physical. So that melanin is what was beginning to come through. Now that's what they're showing you. That's that intelligence that they are talking about. And oh man, you know who's the you know who's the most highly melanated people on the planet? So now, and then they do something, they take you back to where she's pointing, they do that whole God touching man thing, which is basically the story of Prometheus, how Prometheus gave fire to man, which is knowledge. So she's touching the ape right there, or she's touching Lucy. You know, they're kind of tricking you again, because as I said, man, it's the other way around. Because Lucy, like as I said, we humans did not come from apes. Did not come from apes. The lower does not come. The higher cannot come from the lower. The lower comes from the higher, and then the higher descends into that. It involves itself, and then it grows again through evolution. So it's involution and then evolution in the physical. So you die through forgetting or through a process of condensation, and then you expand again, just like how a seed does that. So the seed has to die in the soil, and then it evolves as the tree. But all the genetic information of the tree is already encoded within the seed, within itself. So now that whole touching is the God giving knowledge to man, or Prometheus stealing fire from the God, which is enlightenment, and giving it to man, which is also the brain. That structure, your brain is the father. It is the high father that gives knowledge to you, who is Adam. So God gives information, or the atom receives information, you know, from the higher mind. So now they show that whole scene here. Let me see here. All right. Yeah, basically that's the movie of Lucy. This is the movie of Lucy. It's all about tapping in. It's all about tapping into the higher portions of the brain. The Lucy movie is a Kundalini experience. This one is going through a Kundalini experience, which allows you to tap into the furthest regions of your brain, where you can begin to understand that you are one with the cosmos, you are one with God. That's why you can see her when she was with her sister, and when she was hugging her like this, she was like, eat better, take this, take that, because she's empathic now. You begin to know how to heal people. You begin to know how to see things that you cannot necessarily see with your two eyes. You become a super being, because that's what you are. You are a child of God. So anything that you can imagine God to do, when you begin to become enlightened, you realize that, oh my God, I can do these things. All of a sudden you are omnipotent. All of a sudden you are omnipresent, omniscient, because you are that expressing itself as you. But it is too powerful it is just so big that it imagines itself to be small, and you are the result of its imagination. But even in its imagining itself to be minute, it's still God, so it's still powerful nonetheless. So you are still powerful. You know, you're only under the illusion that you are not. So this is what this movie was talking about. It's about accessing the dormant portions of your brain, activating those neurons, activating those chakras, those kundalini, through idle eating, through breathing meditations. You gotta do the work. You gotta be healthy. You gotta live healthy. You gotta think healthy. Associate your people, like change your friends, change the environments that you are in if it's not good for you. If the conditions are not dope, you know, as they say, the cells will choose immortality. Your brain will begin to become destructive. But if the conditions, as Morgan said, if they favorable, yeah, come on, if the conditions are favorable, you know, we're gonna do it all night. We're gonna do it all night, cause the conditions are good. Hey, baby. Oh, sorry. I got carried away. Ooh, I'm gonna call my queen. Hey, guys, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel. And also, if you check out in the description, I left some bank details there just in case maybe you want to donate to the boy for this information. Not that I'm charging you for it, but if you just feel like you. But then I will tell you this, everything that I know you can know for yourself. In fact, I encourage you to go out and study. I encourage you to go read. I encourage you to meditate. I encourage you to research each and everything. Don't just hear things and take them and accept them, you know, just because people speak so well and people are so fluent and people are so, wow, you know, they're so amazing. When they speak, you're just like, damn, you make sense. And then, you know, don't just believe it. Could be tricking you right now. No, I could be lying to you. Question me. Question yourself. Question your pastor. Question your mom. You know, question everything. Question God. God wants to question me. If you don't question what, the question is what drives us. Morpheus said that to Neo in the Matrix. So that's the Lucy movie, family. I hope you enjoyed it and it helps. I hope it helps you ascend. I hope it helps you along your spiritual journey. Namaste. Well done. Still. I know.